Usually when we think about meditation, what comes to mind? What's the first thing that comes to mind? For most people, it's relaxation, right? De-stressing, kind of zoning out, relaxing. And then meditation is fantastic for relaxing. We're going to do a little bit of that in a little while. But the way in which meditation relaxes you is kind of interesting, right? And maybe that's something that hasn't been explained to you before. So I'm going to explain it to you now. So meditation is really a technique in familiarization, a technique to familiarize your mind with something, right? Whatever you want, right? So why is that important? Well, familiarization is extremely important for everything in our life, everything that we've ever learned, right? What happens when we become more familiar with that activity or language or whatever, right? It comes more naturally to us, right? So like take driving a car, right? If I was like, go drive down the street, you'd be like, okay, don't know why you're asking me to do that, but here I go. And you wouldn't really have to think about any of the mechanics of driving. You would just go drive down the street. Why? Because you've been driving for quite some time. Right? And so driving is pretty familiar to your body and mind at this point, right? So one of the byproducts of that is driving becomes easier, right? And the same is true for anything that we learn, whether it's learning a new language, learning how to jump rope, learning how to tie our shoes, right? At some point, these tasks are really difficult, right? We have to use a lot of concentration and effort to do them, right? To accomplish them, right? But through repetition, through familiarization, it becomes easier. Driving becomes easier. Tying our shoes becomes easier. All these activities that we're learning become easier. They kind of flow naturally to you, right? The same is true for your mind, right? And that's kind of what we're getting at here with meditation. The same is true for your feelings, emotions, joy, happiness, peacefulness, kindness, all these things, right? The more familiar you are with them, the easier it is for you to engage in them. The easier it is for you to relax if you're really familiar with being peaceful and calm, right? So this is how meditation works, right? Meditation isn't kind of like pulling relaxation out of air or something like that. It's teaching you to become familiar with the relaxation and peacefulness that's already within you, right? It's there. It shows up once in a while, right? You could probably think of a couple times where you're just like, I feel pretty good, yeah? So our goal here is to start to train our mind in this technique of meditation so that we can become more familiar with these good things. Peacefulness, kindness, gratitude, all these wonderful positive things, right? And the concept of familiarization kind of goes both ways, right? So if you take something like anger, do you have to try really hard to get angry? Not me, right? You know, I'm walking down the street, somebody says something to me, boom, angry. Didn't really have to try, right? Why? Doesn't mean I'm an angry person or anything like that. My mind's had a lot of practice getting angry. So my mind's like, oh, I know what to do. Don't worry about it. I got it. I'll take it from here. So what about patience, right? We have to try really hard to be patient, right? That doesn't mean that we're not a patient person. It means that we just haven't become as familiar with being patient as something like getting angry, right? So we want to start to tilt the scales in the other direction, right? And in order to kind of do this, the first step of meditation is to learn how to relax our busy mind a little bit. Because when your mind is really agitated or anxious or angry, right, it's not working as great as we would like it to. So we get angry at things we normally wouldn't get angry at. We get worried about things we normally wouldn't get worried about. So step one, we got to relax our mind a little bit, right? And then we can use that kind of relaxed mind to think about something, to investigate, right? DG, what's up? Okay, so an analogy I always use, I think it's really good for those those of you that are new and this is your first time hearing meditation. It's a lot of information coming at you, I know. If you think about a still lake, right? If I were to ask you, describe to me the reflection in that still lake. Now, it's a very peaceful day. There's no wind or rain. You could describe that reflection to me. The reflection is very clear, right? If it starts to rain a little bit, what happens to that reflection? It gets a little muddied, right? The ripples cause it to not be as clear. If it really starts to rain, the winds pick up, we might not be able to describe the reflection at all. The reflection's still there, right? We just can't see it. It's like obscured, right? So the same is true for our mind. Our mind normally by default is like this still lake, very calm, very peaceful, very cool, and cool-headed and thinking objectively about our problems, and very patient, right? But all of the stress and anxiety and bombardment of stimuli and worries that are happening to us all day long, they're like raindrops falling on the surface of our mind, right? And just like the raindrops on the lake obscure the reflection, the raindrops on our mind, these distracting thoughts on our mind, they obscure our peacefulness, right? So we want to remove some of the raindrops, some. Not all. I know you want to do all, but let's go for some first, right? Because even if we can do some, we'll be able to relax a little bit, right? If we can remove 3% of the raindrops obscuring the reflection, we can see the reflection a little bit better, right? Oh, hey, Emily. That's my wife, Emily. Okay. So the way that we're going to do this, the way we're going to relax with meditation is by using something that's called single-pointed concentration. Cool. Fancy. All right. All that means focusing on one thing, making a choice to focus on one thing, not multitasking. We're not multitasking. All right. Now, we're very familiar with multitasking, right? We do it all day, every day. And so our mind naturally wants to go there, just like the example with driving, or we can drive without thinking about it, or we can multitask without even really recognizing that we're doing it, right? So at first, right, this might be a little challenging because we don't normally instruct our mind to single-pointedly focus on something. Normally, we let our mind do whatever it wants, and it goes and multitasks, right? So we're going to focus so exclusively on one thing, our breath, breathing meditation, that all the other thoughts and worries and distractions that are kind of bouncing around our head, they're gonna fade a little bit into the background. It's very similar to if you've ever been in the zone, exercising or at work, working on a project, right? You're really plugged in. And what happens? Lose track of time. You don't hear all the normal noises and distractions. They're still there, but it's like they're not there, right? So this is kind of an example of sort of the flow we want to get into, but we're going to start to train in doing this intentionally, right? Okay. Kelso, hey, how's it going? Oregon Beaches. Such a great name. Thanks for being here. Okay, so let's do this. All right, let's do a breathing meditation. Now, it's going to be short, 5 minutes maximum. I don't know. I'm not counting in my head. I don't have a stopwatch or something like that, but it's usually 5 minutes. All right. Common misconception: you do not need to meditate for hours on end to see results. Consistency is more important than length per session. Right. So, with breathing meditation, you're going to focus on your breath. I'm going to guide us through this. You're going to focus on your breath. And then when you notice that your attention has drifted onto anything else, maybe it's thinking about something somebody said to you earlier, or I don't know, what you want to eat after class. I don't know. Whenever you notice that it's drifted at all, you're just going to be like, all right, not right now, to that thought. And then we're going to bring our attention back to breathing. That's it. That's the practice of meditation. choosing to focus on one thing, noticing when your attention drifts, being able to bring it back. That's meditation. Okay? So let's do a breathing meditation now. Sit comfortably. So if you're in a chair, that's cool. If you're sitting on the floor, right, that's cool. Standing up doesn't seem too comfortable, but I don't know, go for it. It doesn't matter, right? There's not like a particular position that you need to be in order to meditate. Just make sure you're relatively comfortable, and you can go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to guide us through about a 5-minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, the first thing we always do is check in with ourselves. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now in this very moment? Are you happy, sad, tired, energetic? Whatever it is, it does not matter. All that matters is you notice. Begin to notice what your mind is up to. This is called mindfulness. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts, moment to moment, for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. So just check in, see how you're feeling in this moment. And having done that, you can now turn your full attention to your breath. Make a choice. I am going to focus on my breath. Breathe in and out through your nose very gently and naturally. You do not need to take big, deep breaths or forcefully exhale the air. Just breathe as you normally would, in and out, following each moment of each breath. Following the air as it enters your nose, sits and exits. Allow yourself to relax. Allow yourself to enjoy breathing in and out, gently, naturally. At some point, you may notice your attention has drifted and it's no longer exclusively focused on your breath. Maybe you're thinking about something happened earlier in the day or something coming up later. Whenever you notice that this has happened, we can just gently say, not right now, to those thoughts, and then guide your attention back to breathing in and out, back to following each moment of each breath. Breathing in and out, gently, naturally. Allow yourself to relax. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever you notice that it drifts. This process of choosing to focus single-pointedly on your breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and being able to bring your attention back to breathing, that is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to focus, to be peaceful, to access its natural happy state. And you're doing it all on your own, with nothing other than your breath. How wonderful. So just continue to breathe in and out gently, naturally for a little while longer. Okay, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello, welcome back. How'd it go? I'm so thirsty. I'm sorry. I know there's ice in here. I shouldn't put ice in here. It's really annoying. That's why I'm leaning away. How did that go? Easy? Tough? If it was difficult, it shouldn't really come as a surprise, because things that you don't do ever are difficult. Right? Like I'm doing some remodeling in my house, and I have no experience doing that. I lived in an apartment in New York my whole life, right? So I've run into a lot of problems. But if I had some general contractor in here, he'd rip right through these things, right? So it just takes practice. It's just going to take some repetition, some familiarity with meditation, and you're going to be able to settle in more easily. Bridget, struggling to keep your eyes closed. Okay, so Bridget, you can actually meditate with your eyes open. It doesn't matter. I always recommend trying eyes closed, because most people get distracted by I don't know, lights flashing or something like that. But you can meditate with your eyes open, maybe like kind of half open, like a little sleepily open. Try that. Some people really, really dig that. So that'd be what I would try doing. Janelle, loved it. Check-ins are getting easier. Good. Yeah. So if this is your first time, we started with a check-in, right? And this is kind of an exercise in mindfulness. Mindfulness is kind of our first line of defense, right? If we can't notice that we're having feelings of anxiety, we can't deal with them. So it's good to check in, take note of how you're feeling, and it's going to get easier, like Janelle says, the more you do it. Why? Same as everything. Familiarization, repetition, right? We don't normally check in with ourselves, but if we do it regularly, it starts to come more naturally. DJ, fairly easy. Did lose concentration briefly a few times. You're gonna. A common misconception of meditation is that you should I should never be distracted, or anything like that. Your mind's gonna drift, right? That's what your mind does. That means it's working. That's good. But the goal with meditation is to notice when your mind is drifting and being able to bring it back. That's the key, right? It doesn't matter how many times your mind drifts, as long as you're able to notice it and bring it back. You are practicing, you are training in meditation, right? And making progress. Great. Kelso, don't let your dog climb into your lap when it's to meditate. Well, there's a good exercise in patience for you there. Cool. So if you have any other questions about breathing meditation, feel free to ask me. But I'm going to move on because we have a decent amount to talk about. I've already been very long-winded. So I'm going to move on to our topic, which is all about when we're feeling unmotivated, right? And really what we're going to be getting at here is looking at 3 different reasons that are contributing to you feeling unmotivated. One is procrastination. Big one. The second is disinterest. And the third is discouragement. All right. So we're going to look at each of those. Susan, when I breathe in, I yawn a lot. Cool. Look, honestly, just do you, like if you like breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, do that. If you yawn when you breathe in, that's fine. It doesn't matter, right? We don't want to like hyper analyze how we're breathing, because then what's happening is we're hyper analyzing how we're breathing and we're not focusing on just moment to moment breath. So whatever's happening, just be like, okay, cool. That's how I breathe. Maybe you're tired. Okay. So we talk a lot about, on this channel and, different types of meditations, we talk a lot about opposing forces, right? So for example, anger, the opposing force, the good guy, patience, right? Jealousy, the opposing force, the good guy, is rejoicing in others' good fortune, right? So for lack of motivation, the good guy is effort, all right? And I like to define effort as purposeful energy towards a goal, which can be mental. It doesn't have to be like you're building a house or something like that. It can be a total mental thought, right? Which we'll get into a little bit. Shantae, do you breathe in through your nose and then breathe out through your nose? I do. That is how it is traditionally taught. That's how meditation is traditionally taught. But my recommendation is always just breathe as you normally would. So I normally breathe in through my nose and out through my nose. So that's what I do. If you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, do that. If you breathe in through your mouth and out through your mouth, do that. If you breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose, do that. I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone doing that one. But just do whatever's normal for you, right? I'm trying to limit the things we're thinking about. Good question. Okay. So we mentioned like the seesaw before, right? We want to start to tilt the seesaw a little, like maybe it's like this, very favoring lack of motivation. Yeah, maybe we can get it even. Put a little effort in there, right? So that's our goal, right? And in order to do that, we're going to kind of look at why we might be feeling unmotivated, right? So I mentioned the three things we're going to talk about, and these three things, procrastination, disinterest, and discouragement, they are sort of like a wheel, right? Or not a great wheel. And I guess maybe it's better describing this like cogs in a wheel, right? They are all contributing to each other, right? So we go from procrastinating to being disinterested to being discouraged to being procrastinating to being disinterested to being discouraged. It's like a little vicious cycle, right? And each of these stages, procrastination, disinterest, discouragement, they all have things we can use meditation for to help, right? So it's really important to know where you are in this wheel of lack of effort or something. I can't think of a better name for it. So procrastination is kind of the largest cog in the wheel. Something I struggle with mightily. Very common for people to procrastinate, even things that are really important to them, right? So procrastination is kind of like the catalyst for lack of motivation. It's like this catalyst that leads to us being unmotivated, right? So with procrastination, right, it doesn't matter what you're procrastinating on, there's this underlying thought, right? Subconscious thought even. We're not like saying it out loud, but what we're kind of saying to ourselves is, I know this is important to do, but now is not the right time. Right? I know I got to do laundry, but I don't want to do that right now. I'm speaking from experience. Right? It can be something as simple as laundry, or something, way more long-term, like writing a book or learning a new language or something like that, right? But procrastination is sort of like this launch pad for a lack of effort, right? And there is an interesting assumption with when we're procrastinating that we'll get into a little bit later when we talk about how we deal with procrastination specifically. But it's kind of interesting. I think you might like it. Okay, so we procrastinate a lot. Then what happens? We start to get disinterested with this thing that's our goal, this thing we wanted to do, right? So let's say we wanted to start a meditation practice, right? And we're like, I'll do it later. I'm too tired. I'll do it tomorrow, right? Start to procrastinate, put it off. What happens is we start to lose interest in this goal, this activity, this thing we want to do. In fact, we start to view it as getting in the way of doing other things, right? So let's take the meditation practice again. We're like, oh, I really want to watch Netflix. I don't want to meditate, right? We're like labeling meditation as annoying, right? Oh, I want to do this other thing, right? And that makes it even harder for us to build up the effort to engage in that activity, right? Darrell, could it be procrastination comes about because it's not tied to an immediate reward? Yeah, we don't really like waiting for anything. That's kind of an issue with patience, right? So yeah, you can definitely procrastinate because you're like, it's going to take me forever to do this, right? I've said that. I think I said that about something I'm working on the house. All right. Good question. Disinterest, we start to view our goal, the thing that's important to us, as getting in the way, right? And it's kind of like we're developing a mental link that our goal is annoying and we don't want to do it, right? And then we move on to discouragement, right? So when we realize that we've been procrastinating, we realize that we've kind of have a lack of interest or been disinterested in this thing that's important to us, right? Sometimes we can start to feel incapable. We can feel discouraged. Why do I always do this? I can't be a writer. If I was a writer, I would write all the time, right? Why do I always, forget to put out the trash? I don't know, whatever, right? So we start to identify with being somebody who's incapable of accomplishing this goal, right? Negative self-image. And we did a whole class on that, right? Negative self-image is a huge part of our lack of motivation, right? And so what happens when you start to believe that you're incapable of doing this? You procrastinate more, right? What? You're not going to do it, right? So that's kind of this wheel, right? Procrastination leads to disinterest. Disinterest leads to discouragement. Discouragement leads right on back to procrastination, right? Does that make sense? Hope so. So a huge part of meditation and understanding your mind, all these cool things that we're trying to do with meditation, a huge part of it is recognition. And I talked a little bit about this before when we checked in with ourselves. So if you can't recognize that you're procrastinating, what happens? You start to go around that wheel. Right, you get to disinterest, right? And maybe you don't notice that you're disinterested. You truly believe that you're, this thing's annoying. What happens? We continue on the wheel to discouragement, right? So recognizing what thing we're currently struggling with right now is super important, right? So even just that's a good kind of homework, right? If you're feeling unmotivated, check in with yourself and be like, okay, where in this kind of wheel am I? Am I procrastinating? Am I disinterested? Am I discouraged? Am I a little bit of both? Have I gone around, right? It's just good to think about these things. Square wheel. Okay, so what do we do about this now that we've talked a little bit about identifying these factors in feeling unmotivated? How can we use meditation, contemplation to help with these, right? So I'm going to kind of work backwards, just because procrastination's got a lot going on. So let me get these other ones out of the way, right? So if we're like, okay, I've identified that I'm discouraged, right? I'm feeling discouraged. I'm in that section of the wheel, right? What do we do, right? What we want to try to do here, the kind of antidote, the remedy for this, is we want to start changing how we talk about ourselves, right? Because discouragement is all about self-image, right? So normally when we're discouraged, what do we say? Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm such a screw up, right? I am a screw up, right? And you're not trying to realize it, but your mind is making connections there. Your mind is becoming familiar with you thinking that, right? And what happens when you become familiar with something? Very easy. It kind of like naturally comes to you. So you are naturally thinking about yourself this way. It's why we get stuck in this negative self-image kind of rut. So one tip that I like to do and suggest for working on feeling discouraged or having negative self-image about something that you're trying to do is to remove this I when you're thinking about and talking about these things to yourself, right? So instead of saying, oh, I'm so lazy. I can't believe I am, putting this off and whatever. I'm so lazy, right? Instead of saying I'm so lazy, you can say, my mind is feeling a little lazy right now, right? Different, subtle difference, but different. We're removing I. We don't want to make a connection that I equals lazy, right? My mind's feeling a little, having a little lack of motivation right now. Minds do that, right? So it might seem like a weird kind of suggestion, but this is a good first step in changing your self-image, removing this connection of I to these negative things you're thinking about yourself, right? What about disinterest? All right, so we analyze where we are in the wheel of lack of motivation, and we're like, I'm disinterested. What do we do? All right. So when we're disinterested, a reminder, that means that we're kind of gravitating to other things so much that we look at our goal or the thing we wanted to accomplish as getting in the way, being annoying, getting in the way. So how do we fix this? Well, one thing that I think is really great for helping with an disinterested mind is contemplating the benefits of this goal that you want to do, right? Contemplate the benefits. It could be something simple like laundry, right? Okay, if I do my laundry now, right, then maybe I can sleep a little later. I don't have to do it in the morning. Well, that's a good benefit. Or practicing meditation, right? It's a little more serious, right? Practicing meditation. Why? What are the benefits? I'll be more relaxed. I'll be able to deal skillfully with problems that I'm having, right? What would that mean for you? What would that mean for your life, right? If you could be calmer, be less stressed, right? So you want to start to familiarize your mind with the benefits of the thing you want to do. That way your mind's like, oh yeah, that's good. I want to get in. I want to get into that, right? Because if we don't ever think about the benefits, then we don't really gravitate towards effort. When you firmly, without a doubt, believe in the benefits of something, you do it, right? So this is a good step for when we're feeling disinterested, contemplating the benefits of accomplishing this goal, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, right? And then finally, procrastination. So we look at the old wheel and we're like, I'm procrastinating. That's usually where we are, right? So what do we do when we're procrastinating? So something, I mentioned this before, kind of an interesting little tidbit about procrastination, right? There's an assumption there. Right? Remember, we defined it as, I know this thing's important, but now's not the right time. Right? So there's an assumption with procrastination that you will have time to do this later, right? You will have the opportunity to work on this thing later, right? Is that true? Can you say that with certainty? No. Right? We don't know. We don't know. We see it all the time. Life is very unpredictable, and things happen that change the course of our life all the time. There are no guarantees. And so with procrastination, there's a subtle, like kind of subconscious belief that there's a guarantee that we'll be able to do this later, right? So a good antidote for procrastination. Rob, will you have time to do this later? Hitting close to home here. Yeah. This and honestly, it's a really cool thing to think about. And at least I think so. And there's a lot of logic behind it, which is why I really love meditation in the first place. It's just really kind of logical thinking. We can't say with certainty that we'll have this opportunity later, right? We can't. So then now is probably the best time. Oh, right. So that is a great antidote for procrastination. Reminding yourself what a great opportunity you have right now, because you don't know if that opportunity will be there later, right? And some people don't like thinking about this because they're like, oh, it's making me depressed, and that's fine, but it's true. And so sometimes we have to think about these things that might make us feel a little uncomfortable, because there's a real benefit to them. And the benefit is that we start to realize this truth that there are no guarantees. And so if this is something that's really important to me, then man, now is the time, right? Now is the time to do this. DG, the more I listen to you, the more enjoyable it becomes. You have a way of simply explaining how to do this and make it fun at the same time. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of my goal. I don't, a lot of times meditation is presented in like a very nebulous way or like inaccessible, but it's just thinking, it's just thinking about one thing. That's it. So thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. So, quick recap, and then we're going to do a short meditation to we're going to choose one of these things. I can't do all three, but a quick recap, right? Procrastination is the biggest and first cog in the wheel, right, of feeling unmotivated. Procrastination is when we say, I know this is important, but now is not the right time. There's an assumption that I will have time to do this later, which is not a guarantee, right? And so the antidote to procrastination, if we are in that spot, is to think about this, right? Life is very unpredictable. There's no guarantees, right? The only moment I'm guaranteed is right now. Sounds like this is the best time to do it, right? Cool. Disinterest, right? Remind yourself why you want to do this. Contemplate the benefits of this, right? So if you're feeling like, I don't want to do it, it's not that fun, whatever. Cog, you like that word? It's growing on me. Contemplate the benefits. Why do you want to do this? What will this do for your life? This is what I think we're going to do a meditation on this one, right? And then discouragement is changing the way we talk about ourselves, right? Removing the I when we refer to ourselves. Instead of I am so lazy, my mind is feeling a little unmotivated. That's okay. That's what minds do, right? Very different response, right? Much healthier response to feelings of lack of motivation, right? Cool? Is that helpful? It's cool to think about, right? My hope is that your takeaway from this will be you'll be able to identify where in this kind of wheel you are, right? That's the most important first step. Knowing what to work on. Because remember, we did a different little kind of antidote for each of them. You got to know which antidote to take. You get bit by a snake, you better know what snake it is, right? Okay, cool. Susan, very helpful. Thank you. Okay, great. Glad to hear it. So let's do a short meditation. We're going to do it on feelings of disinterest. And we'll start similar to what we did before, right? So step one of meditation is relaxing. So we're going to do some breathing meditation to relax. Then when our mind is relaxed, functioning really well, we're going to think about something. And that's sometimes called contemplation. And that's where we're going to dip our toes into this other meditation that I just mentioned. Okay? Cool. Close your eyes. Make sure you're comfortable. Change your seat if you're not comfortable. All right? Close your eyes and follow along with what I'm saying. Okay. Let's check in with ourselves once again. How are you feeling now? Different than before? The same? Doesn't matter. All that matters is you take note of what your mind is up to. We are practicing our ability to recognize, which is extremely important in dealing with feelings of a lack of motivation. And having checked in, you can turn your attention once again to your breath, breathing in and out, however you normally breathe. Gently, naturally. No big breaths or forceful exhalations, just breathe normally. In and out, following each moment of your breath. As you begin to relax a little bit into your chair or cushion. And just check in with yourself again. Is your attention still on your breath or has it drifted? If it's drifted, that's fine. We can just say not right now to those thoughts and bring your attention back to breathing in and out, gently, naturally. Keep breathing in and out, following each moment of your breath. Allow yourself to relax even more. Sometimes when we start to really plug into our breath, we may notice some things about breathing that are jumping out to us that hadn't really jumped out to us before. Maybe you're noticing how the air feels cool temperature-wise each time you breathe in. And how that same air feels warm each time you breathe out. How interesting. Or maybe you're noticing your body moving with your breath, your shoulders rising, falling, your chest expanding, contracting. Your entire body a participant in each breath. when you focus single-pointedly on an activity, on something, you start to find some subtle joys in that activity, in that thing. You right now are starting to find some subtle joys in breathing. How wonderful. How wonderful that you can learn to be happy and enjoy something as simple as breathing in and out. What a good use of your time. So having relaxed our mind even just a little bit, we can use this slightly more calm, relaxed, clear mind to think about something. This is often called contemplation. Today we're going to contemplate the idea of being disinterested in something that's important to us and what we can do about it. So just follow along with what I'm saying. I'd like you to bring to mind something that you want to accomplish. It can be something that is already in progress, something not in progress that you'd like to start. It can be small or big, it doesn't matter. Just bring to mind something that you want to accomplish, something important to you. And we can think about, have we been engaging in this activity? Have we been making strides forward towards reaching this goal? Maybe we're feeling a little disinterested in this goal. When we procrastinate over and over, it leads to us being disinterested in that activity. We find other things to put our attention on. And we start to view this goal as getting in the way of our life. The remedy for this is a firm understanding of the benefits of accomplishing your goal. So for whatever it is you have brought to mind, I want you to think about the benefits of doing this thing. Not just, oh, wouldn't it be nice? How would your life change if you could accomplish this goal? What would it mean for you? Whatever you're visualizing right now, whatever you're feeling, just sit with it. This is your mind contemplating the benefits of your goal, familiarizing itself with the benefits of your goal. And this will lead to you putting effort into accomplishing it. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes, return to YouTube. So this is what I would consider to be a full meditation, right? So we start with breathing meditation to relax. We're clearing away some of the raindrops that are obscuring the reflection on the lake, right? And then after we've done that, well, we're not just going to walk away from the lake. We're going to look at the reflection. We're going to investigate something. So with our newly relaxed mind, we're going to think. We're just going to think about something. And so today we were thinking about disinterest and what that means and how we can remedy it. But you can think about anything, right? That's kind of the beauty of meditation is we're using meditation as a method of focus, right? And relaxing ourselves so that we can learn something that we want to learn, right? Cool? Hope so. Okay. That's it for today. If you did have fun or you're like, oh, this is kind of cool, whatever, if you had a good experience, come back. Each week we do something different. I don't know what next week will be, but it will have something to do with meditation. I can guarantee that. So come on back. And if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my YouTube channel, super helpful to me. Lets the crazy algorithm of Google know that people are interested in this. And you get notifications when I'm going live. That way, if you forget, right, you're disinterested, your mind's thinking about something else, you'll be like, oh, yeah, meditation. Contemplate the benefits of turning on that meditation session. And if you're like, hey, this is awesome, I'm really into this, this is really cool, and I would love to take this a step further, I teach meditation one-on-one. I do it over Zoom. It's very laid back. It's very chill. I work with a lot of people that have been chatting here, and it's a really great way to allow us to focus on something that's really pertinent to your life, right? Procrastination is kind of everybody's dealing with that. So this is a pretty good one. But everyone's here for a different reason. I started meditation to deal with anxiety. So maybe you're here for the same reason and you want to focus on that. That's something that we can do in these one-on-one classes. So if that's interesting to you, just email me. I'll put my email in the chat. It's keith@meditationbreaks.com. Just email me and we'll find a time that works for you. Hopefully I spelled it correctly. Cool. Let me catch up. Janelle, good stuff tonight. Thanks, Janelle. Janelle's somebody I work with one-on-one, right? Great. I love it. It's my favorite environment. Susan, very cool. You're awesome. No, you're awesome, Susan. Carol, thanks again. Every week is a joy, no matter what your topic is. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of, we can all benefit from these. Even though you might be here for anxiety, you can benefit from thinking about procrastination too, right? Cool. Kelso, great experience. Totally different than what I thought. Awesome. That's great. That's exactly what I want your experience to be here if you're a first timer. Right? This is a lot less complicated and nebulous than it seems, right? And it's presented, and you have everything you need to be able to meditate and meditate well right now. Doesn't matter. You have everything you need, right? Your external conditions, they don't matter for being able to meditate, right? Cool. Darrell, love the topic. Yeah, this is a big one. I struggle with this mightily. You have paint on your right hand. I know. I have paint everywhere. Sorry. Oregon Beach, just thanks for coming. Kelso, nebulous, another fun word. That's a good one. Space. All right, cool. Good luck meditating. Start to just try this out. Doesn't have to be long. A minute in the morning, 30 seconds in the afternoon, or whatever time or time of day or length combination you want, doesn't matter. Just try to do this slowly. That way meditation becomes more familiar to you and you can utilize it whenever you need it, right? That's kind of our goal with this. Can you post fee for private session? Email DJ, email me and we'll and we'll go over that. Cool? All right, everybody, have a great night or day, depending on where you are, and I'll see you next week.